Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Creatives Conversation, episode number 2, numero dos. I'm excited.
Wait, I just love how you had to think about that. She said numero dos.
How are you going to interrupt the introduction?
Continue.
My name is Gabriella Martay here at Helps Too. I'm the director and the owner of the company that's bringing this podcast to life. Today, I have a special guest who is a regular in my life. She's one of the homies. She's in the crew. Sierra Bruton. We just rolled before this, and I was like, Bruton?
And I was like, we done known each other for like 4 years, and you sitting here. But you know what? One of my best friends, Chelsea, she still has my name in her phone as Sierra Jordan, and I'm like,
is that your middle name?
No, it's a long story.
Okay, we won't go there for this.
A different time.
Well, anyway, Sierra is a creative, and you were the first creative that we took on here at Helps Too, and we feel like we're just getting started as like,
I know.
I don't know, it's kind of like a record label kind of thing where we
Yeah.
provide you resources and help you grow, and we grow with you at the same time. And so you're the first.
Yeah.
And she has a show, I call it a show, right?
Yeah.
Podcast show,
All
YouTube
of the
kind of deal called Let's Talk About It. And I am wearing the shirt. I know this is like really horrible because it's tucked in, but we designed these shirts, a year ago?
Last summer.
Last summer. And
We did like a whole photo shoot to get them out. And
we
everything.
did.
And I love them. Honestly,
they're cute, actually.
I think they're really cute.
Mm-hmm. And they are your show name. Let's
and
talk
I feel like
about it.
it's like timeless. Like
They are timeless.
I really like it.
And I think when people see it, because they don't know the show name per se yet, it's not like a household name yet. They think like, oh, it's a Black Power fist. Like, let's talk about all things Black culture and what's happening in the Black culture, which we'll get to eventually.
Right.
But I brought Sierra on as like kind of like my first like BBB, like getting into building your business together.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a lot of one-on-ones on this show that we have, which is crazy to say. But I want to talk about number one. I want to talk about strategy. We'll get to that later, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to start with, and we want to talk about the Black experience as a creative too,
Right.
Because we're both.
I feel like that's like a whole nother world.
It's a whole nother world, an
yeah.
aspect to seeing creativity, especially right now after having gone through 2020 and all of the. Whew, there's a lot going on. But I want to talk about expectations first. And I think, didn't you do a video on Let's Talk About It YouTube?
Yeah.
About expectations.
Which is kind of funny because I believe in the same video, I feel like a lot of times my insecurity kind of comes out in this which you know more than literally anybody. Like
Yeah.
I feel like in that video I had said like, you know, I'm gonna be the next Oprah, which I feel like is a huge thing to say.
Yeah,
and like
it's a big
folks
statement.
can't just like throw that out there. But at the end of the day, I try to lead in confidence, not my insecurity. But sometimes I really do be looking back on that episode and I'm like, girl, why did you say that?
Well, wait, let's just talk about that because I think a lot of people, when they start their creative journey, they don't even think about how insecurities are going to pop up.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I can tell you from because I'm a musician.
Oh my gosh.
If you guys are new here, I also do music, and that's where I started in terms of creativity. And now I run a marketing company, which is awesome. Yeah. But like, I don't think a lot of people understand that when you start doing projects, like I just got done as a musician, Martay the musician, with a dance music video.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you talking about that.
And Andre, you know, our videographer is literally working on it right now, and it looks amazing. But let me tell you, when I walked into that dance studio with like 2 girls who are still in high school, and you know, I'm not, I'm in my 30s. And then Kendra was with me.
Yeah.
And we were
Kendra's,
doing
like,
this.
One of the most talented people
She's
I
a
know.
gifted dancer and
Seriously.
human being.
She used to be my roommate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? We lived with each other for like a year and a half.
Oh
when I
yeah,
lived
y'all
out in
did.
Grandview.
Okay,
Yes.
well, okay, it's all fun. Y'all have lived a lot of places.
That's true.
It's to my defense. Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
But I
You're
walk
right.
into this dance studio and these girls are crushing it. Like they're
Yeah.
dancers, and I'm over here like, what did I sign myself up for?
Yeah.
But yeah, and my back is still sore from that whole.
Girl, I bet I was you showed me like the little clips of y'all doing it. I was like, it's a no for me.
It's a no for me,
my,
dog.
See the way my body's set up.
No, I had to go home. I was praying. Like,
Yeah,
I was
bet.
like, Lord, if you do not help me get this dance, I'm gonna look so foolish.
Or
My
like,
insecurities.
Even when it's like a little bit out of sync, like you can like tell.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Especially when
Oh.
it's like, Yeah, I feel you.
I was just watching the music video. I was a little out of sync, but I don't think anybody's gonna know.
See, you know it the best too.
Yeah, because I had to learn it. But anyways, tell me more about your insecurities. Those were some of mine, right? But like, what did you face starting?
Yeah. So I think, obviously insecurities like manifest themselves in so many different ways. I think that me being a bigger black girl, I think most people think that like my insecurity would be like in body image or something like that. But that's actually where I find my most confidence is like in my how I carry myself. I genuinely think I'm like stunning. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little weird being like in front of the camera. And I think when I started Let's Talk About It, it started as like, we would have these conversations as friends that we like have literally all the time.
Right.
And something I say is like, let's talk about it. Like, and then I was like, we'll just name the show, let's talk about it. Like, and I just had this idea of like just popping a camera up and just having these conversations. But like conducting yourself in front of a camera is way different than like having a conversation. You come on, I feel like in my experience, I have a hard time articulating myself because when you're putting content out there for other people to hear, like it's important to be clear. You know what I'm saying? And I talk very like up in the clouds, like you feel me? Like you know what I'm saying? Like when in
really
reality,
you feel that way?
I do feel that way. Insecurity, girl. Like,
I don't see you that way. That's why I'm saying like,
crazy. Okay, here's the thing. I feel something that I've in my life that I've realized is like the things that you're like called to do is where your insecurities are going to be.
Oh, like, you better preach.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like when I would get so like speaking, like I get very insecure about like I just said like 10 times. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very conscious about things like that. And I think that when I'm, recording these episodes, a lot of times when I would, there's sometimes where like that was a bomb episode. Like, but then a lot of times I'd just be like, we're just going to have to grow. Like it is what it is. Yeah. And I think that starting Let's Talk About It, which I've been doing this now for about 3 years. We've been doing it together for wild. Almost in August it'll be 2 years together.
Wow.
And it's really crazy because I sent you that voice memo the other day that in reality there's a lot of like my own personal insecurities I have to work through to get the very few episodes that we even have shot. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the growth has been out of this world to me. Like the support, like people know me by Let's Talk About It. Yeah. And I've really only filmed maybe like 20 episodes. Like,
I know. And imagine
the
what's
amount
to come.
that is, and like that, the one episode is almost at 3,000 views. And that one we didn't promote.
With no marketing dollars. That's a big deal. So that's all organic.
And I think that it can, and really those was in the time where I was like the most insecure about it. Like, and
really? I didn't know that. Okay.
And I was just like, the other day I feel like I had this epiphany of like, oh my gosh, like this is really what God has called me to do. And even when I'm not putting in the work because I'm insecure and I'm scared, and I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But it's still grown. I was shook the other day when I was sending you those voice memos. I was shook. I was like, it's still growing without, even though I wasn't being, which we'll get to like 2020, but like,
absolutely.
I was, we took a break, but which part of it we needed to, you know what I'm saying? But then also, a lot of it has just been out of my own fear. But really, my insecurities manifest the most with Let's Talk About It, which is crazy.
Which you're called to do that.
This is like part of my life calling. Like this is part of me starting what I feel like I'm supposed to do with the rest of my life. Yeah.
And I envision you as someone, like we've talked about your dreams, and I don't know if you want to talk about that on here, but like.
Girl, let's talk about it all. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. But I see you as someone like shifting culture, especially like in the Black community and like being a voice. And
that's what I feel called to do in a creative space. And I feel like it's really scary to put yourself out there and to claim like why should anybody listen to me? Right. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. You feel like they should when you're in your room not doing it, but then when you start doing it and you're putting your stuff on YouTube and you're getting 20 views per video, let's talk about that. Yeah. As Martay, I committed as a musician. And I did have somewhat of a following, and I was touring and all that, and I would tour with other bands, so we would have all of our fans kind of come into like the shows at once, and so that was like really cool. But doing that on my own, I was like, I don't know if I could fill a venue like for real. If you're being honest, you got to be real with yourself as a creative. And so I started doing YouTube, and I was like, I'm gonna do some covers, just to get people to my music. Girl, I started doing some covers. My first video, I got like 20 views.
Yeah.
It devastated me.
Oh, did it really?
I wasn't like going to go into a depression or something over this. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just, I mean, it's YouTube. Like,
I think
it is
now
what it is.
It's funny because like now I'm shocked because you have like some of your videos have gone viral. Yeah. So I'm sitting here like, you were concerned over that one video?
Well, that's like, that's what they don't tell you.
Yeah.
And I had Amber, who y'all will meet soon enough. Amber is the brand manager here at Helps Too. I told her, I was like, I'm realizing this is a long-term journey.
Yeah.
I told her, can you paint me something? Because she's an illustrator and she paints.
Oh, yeah.
I said, paint me something that says it's a long-term journey. So she painted like this small little thing. And it has like this long-term journey. It has a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Yes.
I'd be feeling like that some days, like for real.
Here's the thing. Like, I really love her paintings. Like, she painted me something for my birthday. And like, I still have that sitting up. Like,
it's on my TV. I just look at it. Yeah, Girl, she's next level. And that's one thing I realized now. I'm like 2.5 years in to doing a video every week.
Yeah.
And I might have missed like 3 weeks ever.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember when you got done with your first year of like 51 videos.
51 videos. Yeah. I feel like that 50 probably, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Girl, yeah. And I was like, should I sign up again? Because this is hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think people talk about that creatively when you start. Like, it's not necessarily easy.
And you know what? I feel like sometimes I hear people talk about this, like where you're drawing your creativity from. And like 2020, I had nothing to draw from. Like it was.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Expectations, right? So what were your expectations coming into this? And then I want to go into 2020 because you're like, I had nothing to draw from.
Yeah. Okay, so briefly, let me start back when I started with like Marley. Like when
Marley shot the first episodes. Marley's a friend of ours.
About the first 6,
okay.
Which it's not up anymore. They're like private episodes,
which I kind of like them, but I mean that's my own thing.
Yeah, and you were in some of them.
I was in one. I was dropping heat. I'm just kidding.
I think what I would really like to do is like later when I'm much more confident is like bringing them back.
Yeah,
as like this was my first episode ever.
Throwbacks.
But I remember I had a very clear plan from the beginning. Like I was having these conversations, and this was like at the peak of like my woke season.
Really?
Like,
okay.
I grew, because obviously.
Explain to people who have no idea what woke is.
Okay, so like woke is like, to Black culture, I would say, I'm using specifically Black culture, is when you're not aware, you're asleep to everything that's the reality of Black life in America. And woke is when you're having these like epiphanies or when you start realizing what the reality is.
Right.
And so I grew up in a white family. I grew up in a white household and a white community. And so
because your mom is white,
my mom is white.
Dad is Black.
Yeah, my dad is Black, and I actually didn't meet my dad until like 2 years ago.
Wow.
And so like my sister and I, we had a very whitewashed version with like kind of like racism we're past racism. We have a Black president. Oprah's famous, one of the richest women in the world.
Like, sorry to laugh. I mean, it's just,
what are we struggling for anymore? Like, thinking slavery was so long ago. And so anyways, so when I had moved out, I think in high school I started to really realize, because a lot of my friends were Black, and I experienced very blatant racism. And so let me speed this along. So basically a couple of years ago, I was in like the deep, like I'm becoming woke. Like I was just sitting here like, I was
starting to realize everything
that
was going on.
Exactly. I started educating myself, and I started entering into these, like, I'm a talker. Like I always wanted to be a talk show host. That was always my dream, to get paid to talk. It sounds like a dream.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, literally. And so like, so I'd be having these like conversations, And then I would just say, I was like people would be saying like these gems, and then I would be having these epiphanies while we're talking. And I was like, I just wish we could like set up a camera and like talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, you know what? Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And when I tell you, like, the favor was crazy. So I contacted just some people that I knew. I built a team like by myself.
I know that team was wild.
Girl,
yeah,
it was a lot. Like,
yeah.
And our first shoot was in my house. I lived in the hood, still do. It's fine. I love it. But I lived in the hood, and we blacked out my entire, because the set was supposed to be like a black background.
Yeah, so with some lights, right?
Yeah,
I saw you.
It was cool.
I was there.
It was cool. I thought it was great. I still love it. Like,
I was there. Let me not start singing.
We set up for 12 hours for one video.
Okay.
Like we knew what we were doing, but we had no idea what we were doing.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so that was like our first shoot, and then we were able to move into a studio, which was just the favor of the Lord.
That's when I kind of like came into the picture.
You started coming in.
Yeah.
And we really only did 6, and then a huge shift was happening in the community that I was in, and we felt really from the Lord that we needed to take a break, which I'm glad that we did, because I learned a lot within that break. We had 6 episodes out. I would say on average, each episode was getting about 300 views, which I was...
no marketing dollars,
nothing,
just like on their own.
Absolutely. Actually, it was like $5.
Wow,
I kid
okay.
you not. Like I promoted each video for about $5.
That's wild.
That's like all I had.
Oh, there y'all have it. You can promote for really cheap.
Literally.
Get some results.
I did not pay anybody
Wow.
for the work that they put in. No, I didn't pay for the editing. It was really it was a passion project.
Yeah.
It was friends
Dope.
who seen the vision that I had and wanted to be a part of it. And I'm to this day grateful. If I ever win awards, I will still thank Marley and you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I literally would not be here if it wasn't for them. And so, but yeah, when it started, we were talking about trying to be a bridge between the Black community and the white community. And since then, the goal has kind of shifted.
Okay.
And which we can explain a little bit later. But anyways, so then we took that break, and then you approached me, and you were like, and here's the thing. I really feel like the most important thing throughout this whole thing is that I've had cheerleaders in my corner.
Yeah,
I don't think
you have actually.
I don't think I would have continued. Like, I really feel like you believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Oh, really?
Yes. No. Like,
I felt
no
led
cap.
by God.
Yeah.
And I had some people challenge me, like, "Are you sure you're hearing from God?"
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
it's
at
not
the
your
end
money.
of the day, because
doesn't matter.
You are putting yourself at risk is kind of like a big dramatic phrase, but like you are putting a lot on the line for only 6 episodes that I've done. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I know
like,
you, and
yeah,
I believe in
true.
you, and
We
I
have,
could
like,
see the
really
potential that you have, and I'm like, I want to sign up.
Yeah, and that is really when I seen because I didn't really know what consistency looks like. We're still figuring that out
Oh,
right
you probably
now.
found it when you met me, though, a little bit. Did I kind of bring it into the picture?
Because I think that, yeah. And so I think when I had to kind of bring this full circle, when I had started, my expectation was my life is getting started. And I really do actually feel like that's true.
Okay, well, explain. What does that mean? My life is getting started.
This was the first time in my life that I felt like I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Wow.
Doesn't matter because I got a lot of pushback when I started, specifically from white people, because anytime you talk pro-Black to a predominantly white audience, which a lot of people who knew me were white.
Yeah.
Obviously I have my main community are Black people, but a lot of white people know me.
We're tuning in from the jump. Yeah.
Because what I did was I sent the first video to every single Facebook friend I had. And so I got a lot of messages. And to be honest, this has actually affected like my family relationship as well. Like this is not, that is one thing I was not expecting.
Yeah.
At first, my family was really like, look at Sierra doing something with her life. Like, oh my gosh.
All right, here we go.
And then once I started talking, it was a
Isn't
wrap.
that a funny thing, right? I have experienced that too as a musician. So when I first got started, people were like, wow, you're kind of good. Like, I'm like, yeah, I've been practicing really, really hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the closet. And then when I started touring, I would get friends coming up to me and telling me, when are you going to settle down? You're a gypsy. I had a guy friend, I can see him in my mind, I will not name him, from California, because that's where I'm from originally. He came up to me and he said, you are a gypsy, and I don't know if you'll ever find someone to settle down with,
That's
like
the
a
devil.
husband. And I was like, whoa, like, do you like me?
That's
Like, why are you even
crazy.
saying this?
Right.
And so, yeah, it was really random. But it hurt.
Expose yourself.
It hurt because I felt
Yeah.
called to that for like
Yeah.
4 years straight. I was touring for
Exactly.
4 years, and probably will go back to tour one day after like
Right.
everything pandemic moves forward, you know? So
Right.
like, yeah, I hear you on
Yeah.
that. That expectation that like everyone's gonna love what you do, and then
Child.
they don't, and there's
Oh
a
my
ton of
gosh.
pushback.
I think that the day one that we released, I actually had somebody message me, basically talking about the camera angles, and I cried. And
Like they weren't good enough, or
I'll explain later.
Okay. Okay.
And so, but basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually cried, but I cry over everything, so it's like not that big of a deal. But like
But you
I
cried.
really had to like realize that I have not picked an easy topic. I did not pick.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
not a beauty blogger. I'm not, mommy lifestyle. Things that look cute.
and are easy to do and wildly acceptable
exactly
to society.
and especially to the white church, which
you're
what
part
I was
of.
a
I mean,
part
like
of.
low key. Yeah, high key.
I mean, I literally was employed by, since I was 16
By
to
predominantly white
churches.
ministry. Yeah.
And so, and I think that I think I kind of viewed controversy as cute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be controversial.
Yeah.
And then once I lost my whole community, like for videos,
People started turning their backs on
yes.
you for real.
And I think that there's a cost to really stepping in, not only to what I'm, called to, but like my creative journey. Like
Right.
I have this life to live. And
Right.
if I'm not, following what I feel like the Lord's called me to, is all for nothing.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about 2020. Like,
Okay.
so 2020, you took a
Worst
break.
year of my life.
Yeah, that's real. For a lot
We're
of
only
people.
3 months out.
For a lot of people, yeah, right? Like, this is still fresh.
Yeah.
I literally today canceled a gym membership because of unsaid reasons. It was just stupid. But it hit me. 2020 has been really hard. Like,
Yeah.
today, it hit me. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, 2020 for me, not necessarily from the political aspect, from the pandemic aspect, I was like, I'm going to transfer gyms. I know this is really random because like my gym was really horrible in 2020. And then I transferred to another gym and it was just as bad, if not worse. And I said, I'm going to go back to my original gym because it hit me like, Gab, Martay, like it's not the gym. It was the pandemic and you're feeling it now. I'm like a slow feeler sometimes. And it just hit me like
quick
I was
feeler all the
struggling last year and it just now hit me. So first of all, I want to talk to you about like the struggles you went through in 2020 because I know you had some as a creative and maybe
Girl,
other
I had
creatives
all
can
the
relate.
struggles.
And then like the black aspect of that, there's so many like, man, I don't even know if you can be politically correct talking about all this. Like there's always something that's going to pop off at you.
Yeah.
But like the reality, there's a lot that went on in the black community. It felt like it was heightened tension all around in 2020. So if you could just speak to like, what were you going through as a creative first? How did you navigate?
So I didn't navigate. So this was like the first time. So the first time we took a break, I feel like what has happened, we're in like basically right now, me and you, we're in season 4 of like trying to create videos.
Yeah.
So that means that we've had like 2.5 breaks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of how it worked.
Yeah.
And so like the first time we took a break was a lot of spiritual shifting was happening. And I really felt like it was from the Lord and I got a lot more clarity. And then it was really crazy because when I felt like the Lord was telling me to start filming again is when you were like, hey, I would like to
Really?
partner with you. Yes.
Okay, I did not know
literally.
that.
It's
Yeah,
so crazy.
that's dope.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy because it was such a God thing. Like I remember I was calling Chelsea like, girl, this is so crazy. Anyways.
That's wild.
But then, we started filming again. And then in the beginning of obviously in 2020 there was like the deaths, that were happening.
Right.
And with like George Floyd and whatnot, and a lot of like a lot of things happening like politically. And I think we kind of like shifted gears to talking about like almost like what's happening in pop culture, or like more feel good things.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily.
And let's talk about it. This is what we're talking about, like really
yes.
happy subjects and like crazy things
like
were happening.
Okay, so like we had an episode of, like, we were trying to stick to like evergreen episodes.
Yeah.
Like I did one about representation where I brought like my child's book, you know, which
I remember that.
Which
That
I
was
just
a good
ordered
one.
Another one, and I gotta show it to you. But anyway, but
yeah, we were trying to do evergreen because we were like, these are gonna last forever.
Exactly.
People will always want to watch
we would
them.
Bulk film.
Yeah.
And so
we'd be ahead of schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but then I think this was like my first time that I've ever. I think I was pretty good at compartmentalizing. Yeah, like I could tap into the social justice, and then I could tap into like friendship and dinner, like, you know what I'm saying, when I needed to. But our whole community was being affected, like our whole, you know, our Black friends, I should say.
Yeah.
Because really
people were shutting down.
Yes. And this was like the first time I've ever felt myself shut down. But it
Ooh,
really
I kind of feel a little bit of that energy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
okay,
it was,
keep going.
This was the first time that I have ever, like, I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this. I stopped kind of, which I think at some point, it's healthy to draw back, and like, we don't have to deep dive into every single topic, every single
which is not what our culture is
injustice.
promoting right now. Our culture is like, you got to be a part of every conversation, stay relevant. It's
go
not
to every protest.
It's hard as a creative.
Yeah, and at the time, like, my activist life was a lot, and also, which is intertwined with let's talk about it, but I was going to a lot of meetings, a lot of protests, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was becoming my life. Like, but I only had so much energy to put towards certain things. And I think I was tired of arguing with people, honestly.
Yeah.
I think
people were coming for you in messages and calls, like, and
friends, family, strangers. Oh my gosh. I'm so over Facebook. I
saw some of those messages.
Yes.
Like, they were brutal.
Literally.
Like
I've received death threats off of, you know, some videos I did for Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
Like, it got to a point where
these weren't even about the 2020 things that happened. They were the evergreen content.
Exactly.
Like, very, like, not to say generic, because like nothing really is generic because you're in such a niche category of what we're talking about. But yeah, I was just really shook by all that.
Imagine if I was talking about George Floyd.
Yeah,
like, if
I don't want to imagine.
Based off of my episode of Angry Black Women.
Yeah.
What if I start
what's
talking
gonna
about
happen
George
when you
Floyd?
talk about like what's really happening?
Exactly.
Yeah, not
and
a concept.
I was like, if we keep it a whole buck.
Yeah.
Like, then, you know what I'm saying?
100% real and honest. Yeah.
Like, and I think that at that point, like, you know, I think that I've been trying to learn communication better, because it kind of just slowed. It kind of like fizzled. Like, when you're in a relationship and things could just kind of fizzle.
Someone
like,
just ghosts you.
We just kind of fizzled. You know what I'm saying?
I felt ghosted. No, I'm just kidding.
So
I'm
sorry.
Just kidding. I knew you were going through something, so I had compassion.
Yeah, I think 2020, like, there was, like, we filmed quite a bit in the beginning, I would say, of 2020. But then it was pretty much non-existent. Like, and actually I was looking, I haven't posted on the Instagram page in months.
Well, we're about to change that.
Yeah, we're about to. Yeah, we're relaunching, which we should say. Like,
yeah, we're
relaunching.
I'm excited.
Which is great. But yeah, I think not only the pandemic, politics, it's really political to be Black in this country, and so, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And so, me just existing is draining sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So then now I have to exist, try and have meaningful connections and relationships, and talk about it and push content and try and grow and, you know, get opportunities and this, that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
I understand. And I think it's valuable for creatives who are tuning into this to understand, if you need to take a break, you need to take a break, and that's okay. And I don't think that's pushed enough.
Yeah.
Because we need rest.
Yeah. I think 2020, I went through the depth, I have reached the depths of depression that never reached before.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how to like accurately explain it, but like when I say I had nothing to give, I had nothing to give.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like I was doing more of an injustice by trying to take up space on social media.
When you felt like you didn't deserve it. Did you feel that way?
I think yes and no. I think that there's one side where I felt like it would have been more responsible to push content because I am a person that people, when things happen, they message me first. So when the raid on the Capitol happened,
I'm sure people.
I was a news anchor. Okay, I had my laptop going, my TV going, and my phone was blowing up for literally about 24 hours.
Wow,
like it was crazy.
That's because people trust you.
Yeah, and so at some point, I felt like I needed to put stuff out there. But if I'm not taking care of myself, what I'm going to put out there is trash.
Yeah, that's real.
And so that's why I decided to...
You have to be settled within yourself before you release something as a creative. I really believe that.
But then there's the other side of like, just because you're not feeling it doesn't mean you don't push your content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That commitment and consistency.
Yeah, and I think that, kind of going back to expectations, I think that because this is like my heartbeat, I felt like it would maybe come through easier. Like content would flow through, which is true to an extent, but I still had to create the content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing I wasn't expecting is that content creation was actually going to be a lot more creative than I thought.
You thought it would be more creative?
No, I thought it was going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing I have to actually create.
It takes a lot of work. Yeah. Yes, it takes a lot of work. And I think I love like,
especially when you're not actually receiving like, this is not my full-time job.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and it's not sustaining you yet.
No.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm still very much in the beginning of my journey.
Right.
And like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go ahead and buy the shirt.
We'll put a link in the description of this video.
Right.
Or wherever you're watching or listening. Okay, I love this because I think this is a nice moment where creatives can take permission to be authentic, number one. If you're not feeling something, like, I don't think you should sit on something forever, which you're coming back, which is a good example of I'm not sitting on it forever. I just took a healthy break because I wasn't healthy,
Which nobody was in 2020. So
a lot of us were struggling. Like, I just remember like friends like not coming out of their rooms for like weeks at a time.
Like, I'm not even kidding. There, especially with everything happening in the news, and I had a huge exodus of family and relationships.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I could not leave. I had to set an alarm on my phone. This is like real talk. I had to set an alarm on my phone to remind me to eat.
Wow, was that bad?
That's how depressed
That's wild.
I was.
That's wild.
So when I couldn't even like get out of bed to eat, I was not filming Let's Talk About It.
Yeah, like that's the last thing on your mind.
Saying?
Yeah, like how do I be creative when I'm like really struggling?
Yes.
Like that's so real. So what would you say to somebody who is struggling? It might not even be about politics or like racial injustice. Like, what would you say to them? Like, what kind of advice?
Well, one is like let it pass through. Like I think that I have pretty bad anxiety as well, which I think surprised a lot of people. But I let the feelings come and I let them just flow through and then leave. And you know, and it does leave. You know what I'm saying? And then also I intentionally I will put a time. I will not watch TV unless I listen to an audiobook. I will not watch TV unless I've listened to multiple podcasts of people who actually inspire me and who already is thriving in a field that I want to thrive in.
That's good.
So like, for example, we was just talking about this. For example, for me, I mean, I don't agree with none of the podcasts I listen to. Do I agree with 100%? But Amanda Seales is like a huge inspo to me. You know what I'm saying?
Inspo. Okay.
Inspo. Oh my gosh, look at me.
Moment of inspo.
And so sometimes I will just like listen to her podcast, a couple of podcasts. I will listen to a book that actually helps provide content for my show. So like The New Jim Crow, The Devil You Know, I believe, The Black Manifesto. Yeah. I will listen to, I'll listen to relational podcasts. How Married Are You?
Yep, hello.
30 Minutes with the Perrys. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of my podcast is like self-love, self-care while being Black in America.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so I listen to things that motivate my podcast.
Right, that
so,
influx. I think
exactly.
as a creative, you have to be careful what you are taking in.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's naturally just like, no matter, not just as a creative, as a human being,
Yeah.
I think whatever you take in, you just naturally end up regurgitating it. It
Yeah.
comes out. And so.
And also not just listening to one point of view.
Right. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's good. Mm.
And so I intentionally will I intentionally spend my time trying to educate myself.
That's good.
And so I let the anxiety, fear, insecurity, I just let it come, because suppressing it doesn't help.
Right.
Like,
you got to feel it.
You know, if I'm sitting here doing a podcast, I feel incredibly stupid. I'm just going to sit here and feel incredibly stupid until I don't. But
right, it'll pass.
I also try and hold on to like truths on sorry, I was gonna say some things I figured I probably shouldn't say, but but you know, I think honestly, self-love, I think I am the dopest person I know. Like that's real talk.
That's amazing.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta
like,
love yourself. How do
yeah.
you love yourself as a creative? Like, what do you do to like stay healthy?
You know what?
Because creatives be just like digging
I'm about
holes
to do a podcast
and
on
jumping
this.
in
Maybe
them.
I'll do like insert a little clip from this. Okay, I feel like, first of all, I am a very confident person, and I feel like sometimes I take that for granted because I realize other people aren't.
Right.
I was literally born this way. My mom raised me.
There's a song about that. I'm not going to sing it.
My mom literally raised me to think that I could do literally anything.
I kind of feel the same way. My dad, my mom, my dad.
We're very similar.
That's probably
actually.
why we vibe really well. Yeah.
I think we're very similar in that. And I am very intentional, almost to an annoying point, of who I surround myself with.
That's
like,
you will become like them.
Yes. And people in my inner circle is like you, Rayel, Mary, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
These are intellectuals. These are very smart people, creative people.
Yeah.
Every single person has a passion for the Black community, and I'm very intentional about that.
That's your inner crew.
Yes.
Like, it's cool to have a hangout buddy here and there, but like inner crew,
people who
solid.
speak into my life.
Yeah, has to be solid.
We're no bums. Okay?
Yeah.
We're
I
not
don't
bumming it.
want no bums.
Nah,
So,
I know.
I got a song for everything. It's really
Girl,
bad.
seriously.
Yeah.
So I'm very intentional about that, and I affirm myself like no joke. Like I like nobody can tell me anything.
Yeah.
Like, and I sometimes I feel like this is a self-love that I've worked on my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, some people, it might be new. So it takes them a second, you know, doing the standing in the mirror and talking to yourself or whatever.
Do you do that?
Every day. I took
really?
yes.
Okay. Maybe I should adopt that.
No, I'm not even kidding. Like,
okay. It does work. I've tried it
no,
before.
Yeah.
I just don't do it.
I think that I'm just very intentional. And I'm so here's a very practical example. So, being plus size, okay, we're talking about confidence. There was a time, a couple of summers ago, I was insecure about my arms.
Really?
And yes, silliest little thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what I did was I just ripped the Band-Aid off and I wore a tank top the entire summer. And so that's just what I do. I'm scared to speak because I feel like I sound stupid, or that's honestly probably my biggest insecurity.
Really?
Is that I sound stupid.
I never have thought that in my life.
Literally, nobody has ever said that to me. It's just
in your mind.
I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I ripped the Band-Aid off and started a podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, I hear you.
I don't go easy into dealing with my insecurities. If I'm insecure about something, I jump in.
Ooh, you hear that, creatives? She jumps in.
Literally.
I feel like I need to do that.
I feel like you do that.
I do feel like I do that. I think this is a season of me jumping out with...
Girl, yes.
I have realized I was a little scared in some areas. Mostly with my marketing business helps too. And so we are really jumping in and advertising like no one's business this year, which is funny, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that give a lot of like workout tips, but they don't work out. And so like... We're trying to be that marketing company that like, we know what works. Like we've seen it happen over and over again, but like, are we on a plan for ourselves? Yes, as of right now, we are on a plan for ourselves.
Like that phrase, like luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like I feel like.
Or is it success, luck, success?
I think it's luck.
Something like that.
I just
success,
heard
luck,
it
whatever.
like yesterday. And I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No, but I've heard that before too. And I think a lot of people think, oh, like one day my chance is going to just come, my opportunity is going to come. But like some of these people that get these opportunities, like when I got to open up for Snoop Dogg as a music artist, right? Like I just didn't start learning guitar 3 weeks before.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I had been playing and touring and moving and shaking and being humbled by like, I'm playing a coffee shop and there's 5 people here and these people don't care about me.
Exactly.
This guy's talking over me right in front of me. I'm trying to sing this song. Like,
child,
dog.
Excuse me. That's what I would have done.
I would have, just look at him.
Literally.
Excuse me, sir, I'm trying to play a song.
Be quiet. Like Nina Simone, walking off.
Yeah, he wouldn't have cared. But anyways, so before we wrap this up, tell us about 2021 for you, because that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Let's talk about it, and then like maybe some advice for creatives, what they should be doing too, if you have any.
Man. So I feel like 2021, I've never been more excited for Let's Talk About It.
Okay.
I think that I actually have I've never felt more inspiration.
Okay.
And really, I feel like what that comes from is just clarity. Clarity from the Lord.
Is huge.
And kind of like what I was saying about ripping off the insecurities, just like, you know what, I know I feel this way.
Right.
It's probably not going to change today, but like, this is what I'm called to do.
Right.
And I think that really, which he didn't have to do, but like, I feel like the Lord really showed me with like, we hit which it's not, I'm excited to look back on this podcast and be like, oh my gosh, you were just we have 100 and some change subscribers.
Yeah.
But I remember when we
started from 1.
we started, I think we had like 19
really?
When me and you started.
Oh, that's true. I remember
half
this.
Those people was my family. So
that's how it be sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
I think that like, I really believe in celebrating like the small victories, and so like when I seen we finally like hit triple digits, I was like
boom,
like 100 people.
I think you called me.
I did.
You were like, girl. I was like, hello.
And I was like, we finally we're a little bit over 100, but like I have been so excited, just like 100 people,
and that's like really not
earth.
With like hardly any advertising.
No,
like that's just, and
like,
it's hard to make it on YouTube without pushing it with ad dollars.
And I really believe in celebrating the small victories, and I was just like, over 100 people are going to get notified when I post every single video because they want to see it. I also receive a lot of messages from people overseas.
Oh, really?
And yeah, nobody who's my friend actually listens to Let's Talk About It.
That's how I feel about my music. Like, I have a lot of listeners in Brazil. I'm like, where is America?
Yeah, like, and
I love Brazil.
But you know what? I cut everybody some. I really don't mind because
I don't mind either
because I be talking about it all the time. And then, one of the videos getting almost 3K views with literally no advertising.
No advertising.
Like, and I feel like the Lord really was showing me, like, this is what it looks like in the beginning.
Yeah.
One of my videos, I think, has like 15 views. On average, I'd say it's between 100 to 300 views per video. And then, but this one video started like popping off, and it literally could be anything. And with no, now we're filming, and we've been filming since the beginning of this year, but we didn't film for the good majority of 2020.
Yeah.
And like all of this is like, I just feel like I feel really like I am the definition of starting with nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I can feel
and
that.
I'm
That's
still
deep.
So early stage. Like, this is not my career yet. Like, I have to when I'm exhausted from work, I still have to put in the time and
then go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot. I know.
Yeah. And so I think, it is harder than what I was expecting, but I feel like if the Lord really actually called you to this, there will also be some type of ease there. Like,
a grace
every
to
time
it.
I'm doing it, especially when we're filming, like, I'm just like, this is what I'm called to do. I'm called to speak, even though I'm insecure literally about speaking. Like,
yeah, it's okay.
But this is what I'm called to do. And like, I can't imagine myself doing anything else. And I think that my dream is to create like an atmosphere for other Black creatives to come in and create as well. And
I love that.
I like, really, the heart of Let's Talk About It is a show for Black people by Black people. People who are connected to Let's Talk About It, I do my best to make sure that they are people of color, down to the photographer. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, everything that I do, I want to support the Black community, period. And I think that the you know, there's a lot of pushback from white people because anything pro-Black, they assume is anti-white. Yeah. But you know, it's not. I'm supporting my
I think
people.
some white people get it, not all, as we have seen.
Yes. 2020.
But you know, I think we long for this, to see this happen, because there has not been representation for so long. Yeah. And I think, you know, as a young Black girl, I would have loved to have seen, like, I think the closest thing to representation that I got was Selena, Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, you know? Como la flor. And I was in a Mexican neighborhood, so I mean, that meant a lot to me. But like, man, and Aaliyah, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't much.
But you know
in
what?
my TV shows
me
and
growing
stuff.
up in a white community, I didn't even have any of that. I had like Raven Simone, which I still love Raven Simone.
I know, we love Raven.
But like I've had to, as an adult and like as like a teenager, I had to learn myself. I didn't know about Harriet Tubman until I was out of high school. Right. Yeah. I've been learning about my own history because it wasn't taught. Because it's not a priority. Yeah. Black culture is not a priority to, you know, the greater America. And I feel like my calling, it will manifest throughout my life. I just spit everywhere. Don't
it's
mind
okay.
me.
We'll wipe it.
Anyways, true Sierra. But I feel like it'll manifest itself in different ways throughout my life, but my calling is for the Black community. Yeah. That might not be everybody's calling, but my life, everything I create is to uplift and encourage.
I love that. Uplift. It's not about like proving anything to another culture.
Or knocking other people down.
No, it's about just saying, hey, we are giving. Yeah. And we are uplifting and supporting.
Exactly. So like in the
these
beginning,
people who are worth it and haven't been shown that kind of love. Like, and there are people.
This might be, you can cut this out if this does not.
No, you're fine.
But like in the beginning, like how we branded Let's Talk About It is to be a bridge from the Black community to the white community, and that's no longer the calling. That is no longer what Let's Talk About It is here for. Let's Talk About It, and what everything that I'm building and creating and businesses I want to do in the future is to uplift solely and support the Black community.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I would love to be able to create like a business where other creative, kind of doing what you're doing with me, like where I can help produce other Black creatives in particular and give them a stepping stool to be able to create for our community. Yeah,
it's all love.
Yeah,
there's no hate in that mission. It's
not trying to exclude, it's trying to include. Actually,
it's just you feel a calling to help a certain type of people.
To my people.
And there's people like that all over the world. I feel called to go to Iran and help those people. And
but you know what? When it's Black, then it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, because that's kind of fiery right now in the media. So, all right, give us one tip for creatives who are listening right now. It's 2021. What should they be doing? How should they be seeing the world? How should they elevate themselves? What's one thing you would say that's on your mind?
Honestly, I feel like this is going to be like so basic, but like this is literally what I think is just doing it. Like
just do it.
Just creating. I practice a lot in my free time. This is going to sound kind of silly, but I'll go through podcasts that I want to do, and I will say the podcasts. Like I will go through when I was at work, and I will literally talk through my podcast because that's what I have open to me right now. Yeah, that's the project that is like mainly we're working on. You know what I'm saying? And so when I have topics, I literally when I'm at work doing my mindless job, like I still create. Like,
that's awesome. You're creating up here.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go, tell us your social media and how people can follow you.
Yes. So on Instagram for the Let's Talk About It podcast, it's Let's Talk Black. And then my personal is under Sierra Bruton. And then on YouTube, it'll be linked in like the Instagram and everything. But on YouTube, it's Let's Talk About It.
Yeah. Follow our project. It's our project. Buy the shirt. And then just stick with Helps to Media. We got more coming for y'all. We love you guys. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.